So, oh no. Okay, so I was trying to do like a setup where I can lay in bed and record because I really wanted to do that. I did not want to get up, but I don't know. My mom will be home soon, so I don't know if we get through all of chapter 7. But I looked and it should only be like 20 something minutes, so hopefully we can make that work because I'm really interested. I really want to know what happens. Okay, chapter 7. A flood of thoughts hits me all at the same time. We're not alone. This is an alien. That ship is weird. How does the engineering of that work? Do they live here? Is this their star? Am I starting an interplanetary incident by wandering into alien territory? Breathe, I tell myself. Okay, one thing at a time. What if this is another ship from Earth? One I don't remember? Heck, it took me a few days to remember my name. Maybe Earth sent multiple ships with different designs, like for redundancy or to increase the odds that one of them works. Maybe that ship is the Praise Allah or the Blessings of Vinshu or something. I look around the control room. There are screens and controls for everything, but there's nothing for a radio. An EVA panel has some radio controls, but that's obviously just talking to crewmates when they're outside. If they'd sent multiple ships, surely they'd have had some radio system so we could all talk to each other. Also, that ship. It's insane. I cycle through the navigation console screen till I find the radar panel. I noticed it earlier, but I didn't think much of it. I assume it's there so I can get near asteroids or other objects and not collide with them. After a few halting attempts, I manage to turn it on. It immediately spots the other ship and sounds an alarm. The shrill noise hurts my ears. Whoa, 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 I say. I frantically scan the panel until I see the button labeled Mute Proximity Alert. I press it and the noise stops. I scan the rest of the screen. There's also a lot of data here, all in the window titled Blip A. I guess if there were multiple contacts, get multiple I'd get multiple windows. I'm sorry. Whatever. It's all just raw numbers about the reading. Nothing useful like the isometric star trek scan or anything. Velocity is 0. They've matched my velocity exactly. This can't be a coincidence. Range is 217 meters. I'm assuming that's the distance to the closest part of the other ship. Or maybe the average? No, it'll be the closest part. Point of the system is the probability. Wait, is probably to avoid collisions. Okay, I'm locked in, bro. Speaking of collisions, 217 meters is a ridiculously small distance compared to the size of the solar system. There's no way this is a coincidence. This ship positioned itself here on purpose because I'm here. Another reading. Angular width is 35.44 degrees. Okay, some basic math should handle this. I bring up the utility panel on the main screen and launch the calculator app. Something 217 meters away is occupying 35.44 degrees of view. Presuming the radar can see all in all 360 degrees, it would be pretty cruddy radar if it couldn't. I type in some numbers to the calculator and do an arctan operation, and the ship is 139 meters long. Roughly. I bring the astrophage panel up on another screen. A little map there shows that the Hail Mary is just 47 meters long. So yeah, the alien ship is 3 times the size of mine. Oh, you're messaging me. Okay, I check it after I do this. So yeah, the alien ship is 3 times the size of mine. There's just no way Earth set something up that big. And that shape? What is up with the shape? I turn my attention back to the Petrova scope, which is now just acting as a camera. The center of the ship is diamond-shaped, a rhombus. Well, I guess it's an octahedron, really. It looks like it has 8 faces, each triangular. That part alone is about the size of my ship. The diamond is connected by 3 thick rods. I don't know what else to call them. Into a wide trapezoidal base that looks like it might be the rear. And in front of the diamond is a narrow stalk, just making up terms at this point, and it has 4 flat panels attached parallel to the main ship axis, maybe solar panels. The stalk continues forward into a pyramid-shaped nose pyramid, I guess. Every part of the hull is flat, even the rods have faces. Why would anyone do that? Flat panels are a terrible idea. I don't know anything about who made this, but presumably they need some kind of astrophere inside, right? Huge flat panels are awful at that. Maybe this is just a probe, not an actual ship. Maybe there's no atmosphere inside because there's nothing alive inside it. I might be looking at an alien artifact instead of a ship. Still, it's the most exciting moment in human history. So, it's astrophage powered. That was the steady Petrova frequency glow I saw earlier. Interesting that they have the same propulsion tech as we do. But considering it's the best energy storage medium possible, that's not a surprise. When European mariners first came across Asian mariners, no one was surprised that they both used sails. But why? That's what gets me. Some entity aboard, either a computer or a crew, decided to come to my ship. How did they even know where I was? Same way I saw them, I guess. The massive IR light coming off my engines, and since the rear of my ship. Flew to Talcedi, that means it was shining a 540 trillion watt flashlight in their direction. Depending on where they were at the time, I might have appeared even brighter than Tau Ceti itself, at least in the Petrova frequency. So they can see at the Petrova frequency, and so can I. I've flipped through the spin drive console screens until I find one labeled manual control. When I select it, a warning dialog pops up. Manual control is recommended only for emergencies. Are you sure you want to enter manual control mode? I tap yes. It brings up another screen. Second confirmation. Type yes to enter manual control mode. I grin and type yes. The panel finally takes me to the manual control screen. It's a bit scary, not because it's complex, but because it's so simple. There are 3 sliders labeled Drive 1, Drive 2, and Drive 3, each presently at 0. The top of each slider is labeled 10 to the power of 7n. The n must mean newtons, a unit of force. I guess if I threw all 3 drives to maximum, it would give me 300 million newtons. I was saying neutrons. Okay, sorry, babe. That's about 60 times the thrust a jumbo jet's engines produce during takeoff. Science teachers know a lot of random facts. There are a bunch more little There are a bunch more little sliders in a group yet labeled Yaw, Pitch, and Roll. They must be little spin drives on the sides of the ship to adjust its orientation. I can definitely see why it's a bad idea to mess with this panel. One screw up, and I'll be putting the ship into a spin that tears it apart. But at least they thought of that. At least there's a button in the middle of the screen labeled zero or rotation. Good. I checked the petroboscope again. Blip A hasn't moved. It's on my port side and slightly forward. I flick the petroscope back to the Petrova frequency mode, and the screen turns mostly black. As before, I can see the Petrova line in the background, including Blip A. Wait, occluded, not occluded. Occluded by Blip A. Let's see if you have anything to say, I mumble. Spin Drive 2 is in the center of the ship. Its dust will be along my central axis and hopefully won't introduce altitude change. We'll see. I set it to 0.01% power, not for 1 second and then back to 0. Even with just one engine at 1/1000th power for 1 second, the ship drifts a bit. The velocity value for blip A on the radar panel shows 0.086 meters per second. That tiny thrust sent my ship moving at about 8 centimeters per second. I don't care about it. I care about the other ship. I watch the petroscope. A big spot separates from my forehead and floats away. I feel like my heart is going to beat out of my chest. Then the rear of the ship lights up in the Petrova frequency for 1 second, just like I did. Wow! I flicked the drive on and off several times. 3 short bursts, a long one, and one more short one. There's no message there. I wanted to see what they were doing with it. They were more prepared this time. Within seconds, the other ship repeats the pattern. I gasp and I smile. Then I wince. Then I smile again. This is a lot to take in. That was too fast for any probe to respond. If I had a remote control or something, the controllers would have been at least a few light minutes away, and there's nothing around here that could be housing them. Or Jesse's barking, and I don't know if that's like you can hear that. I'll try to go quiet and see if he barks, and then the bit that picks up audio goes up. Okay, so you will be able to hear him barking a little bit. I'm sorry. So there's an intelligent life form on that ship, about 200 meters away from an honest to God alien. I mean, my ship is powered by aliens, but this one is intelligent. Oh my gosh, this is it. First contact. I'm the guy. I'm the guy who meets aliens for the first time. The Blip A, that's what I'm calling their ship for now, fires up its engines again briefly. I watch closely to memorize the sequence, but there's a single low intensity light. They're not signaling, they're maneuvering. I check the radar panel. Sure enough, Blip A brings itself alongside the Hail Mary and holds position at 217 meters. I've succeeded a scientific panel to bring the normal telescope camera back up. The Petroscope's normal light camera is just to orient things for the main scope itself. The telescope has much better resolution and clarity. I guess I'm too excited to think clearly because it took me until now to think of that. The image is far clearer through the main telescope. I guess just an insanely high resolution camera because I can still zoom in and out with no loss of clarity. I have a very good view of Blip A now. The ship's hull is a malted grey and tan. The pattern seems random and smooth, like some started mixing paint and stopped way too early. I spot motion in the corner of the screen, and a regular shaped object slides along a track in the hull. It's a stalk sticking out with 5 articulated arms coming out the top. Each arm has a clamp-like hand on the end. It's only now that I notice a network of tracks along the hull of the ship. It's a robot. Something controlled from the inside. At least I assume it is. It doesn't look like a little grey man, and it certainly doesn't look like an alien EVA suit. Not that I have any idea either of what either of those things would look like. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a hull-mounted robot. Space stations back at Earth have them. They're a nice way to do stuff outside your ship without having to suit up. The robot works its way towards the hull until it reaches the spot closest to the Hail Mary. One of its little clamp hands holds out a cylindrical object. I don't really have a sense of scale, but the robot is tiny compared to the ship. I feel like it's about my size, or maybe smaller, but that's a wild guess. The robot stops, reaches toward my ship, and gently releases the cylinder into space. The cylinder moves slowly toward me. It has slight rotation and overend, not perfect, but still a very smooth release. I check the radar panel. The blip A is at velocity 0. The blip B screen, and there's a blip B on screen now, shows a much smaller cylinder approaching at 8.6 centimeters per second. Interesting. That's the exact velocity I moved the Hail Mary a moment ago while flashing the engine to say hi. That can't be a coincidence. They want me to have that cylinder, and they want to deliver it to me at a velocity that I'm comfortable working with. Very considerate of you, I say. These are smart aliens. I assume friendly intent at this point. I mean, we're going out of their way to say hi and be accommodating. Besides, if there's hostile intent, what would I do about it? Die? That's already what I'd do. I'm a scientist, not buck grudges. Well, I mean, I could point the spin drives at their ship, fire them up to full, which would vaporize. You know what? I'm not going to think along those lines right now. Some quick math tells me the cylinder would take 45 minutes to reach me. Have that long to get an EVA suit, go outside, position myself on the hull for humanity's first touchdown pass reception with an alien quarterback. I learned a lot about the airlock when I was giving my crewmates a burial in space, and Elon Keena would have loved this moment. He would have been absolutely bouncing around the cabin with excitement. Yeah, I would have been stoic and steady, but he would have cracked a smile when he thought we weren't looking. The tears were in my vision. Lacking gravity, they coat my eyes. It's like trying to see underwater. I wipe them off and fling them across the control room. They splatter on the opposite wall. I don't have time for this. I have an alien thingy to catch. I unhook the belt on the chair and float over to the airlock. My mind is a whirl with ideas and questions. I'm jumping to wild, unfounded conclusions left and right. Maybe this intelligent alien species invented astrophiles. Maybe they genetically engineered it to specifically grow spaceship fuel, the ultimate solar power. Maybe once they explain what's happening to Earth, they'll have a solution. Maybe they'll board my ship and lay eggs in my brain. You can never be sure. Open the inner airlock door and pull out my EVA suit. So, do I have any idea how to get into this thing? How to safely use it? I disable the crystals lock on the Orlan MKS EVA, looks like EVA, suit and open the rear hatch. I activate main power by flicking a switch on the belt. The suit boots up and immediately on the status on the panel attached to a chest component reads all systems functional. What the heck? I know everything that's going on here. We probably trained on this thing extensively. I know it's the same way I know physics. It's there in my mind, but I don't remember learning it. The Russian made suit is a single pressure vessel, unlike American models where you put on the top and bottom, and then a bunch of complex stuff for the helmet and gloves. The All In series is basically a onesie with a hatch in the back. You step into it, close the hatch, and you're done. It's like an insect molting in reverse. Open the back and wriggle into the suit. Zero G is a real boon here. I don't have to fight with the suit nearly as much as I normally would. Weird. And it is easier than other times I've done it, but I don't remember any of the times I've done it. I think I have brain damage from that coma. I'm functional enough for now. I press on. I get my arms and legs into their respective holes. The jumpsuit is uncomfortable in the all-in. I'm supposed to be wearing a special undergarment. I even know what it looks like, but it's just for temperature regulation and biomonitoring. I don't have time to find it in the storage area. I have a date with a cylinder. Now in the suit, I push steadily against the airlock wall with my legs to push open the what rear flap to the wall. Once it gets within a few inches, centimeters, I should say, this is Russian made after all. A light turns green on the chest-mounted strap status panel. I reach up to the panel with my thickly gloved hand and press the auto seal button. The suit ratchets the opening closed with a series of loud clicks. With the final clunk, the outer seal locks in place. My status board reads green and I have 7 hours of life support available. Internal pressure is 400 hectopascals, about 40% of the Earth's atmosphere at sea level. That's normal for spacesuits. The whole process took only 5 minutes. I'm ready to go outside. Interesting. I didn't have to go through a decompression step. On space stations back home, astronauts have to spend hours in an airlock slowly acclimating to the low pressure needed for the EVA suit before they can go out. I don't have that problem. Apparently, the entire Hail Mary is at about 40% pressure. Good design. The only reason space stations around Earth have full atmosphere of pressure is in case the astronauts have to abort and return to Earth in a hurry. But for the Hail Mary crew, where would we go? May as well use the low pressure all the time. Makes things easier on the hull and lets you do rapid EVAs. I take a deep breath and let it out. A soft whir comes from somewhere behind me, and cool air flows along my back and shoulders. Air conditioning. It feels nice. I grab a handhold and spin myself around. I pull the inner airlock door closed and then rotate the primary lever to begin the cycling sequence. A fire pumps up. Wait, a pump fires up, not a fire pumps up. Keith. It's louder than I would have thought. It sounds like an idling motorcycle. I keep my hand on the lever. Pushing it back to the original position will cancel the cycle and repressurize. If I even see a hint of red light on my suit panel, I'm going to throw that lever so fast and make my head spin. After a minute, the pump grows quieter, and then quieter still. It's probably as loud as it ever was. But with the air leaving the chamber, there's no way for that noise to get to me other than through my feet touching the Velcro paddle on the floor. Finally, the pump stops. I'm in total silence aside from the fans inside the suit. The airlock control shows that the pressure inside is zero. A yellow light turns green. I'm clear to open the outer door. I grab the hatch crank and hesitate. What am I doing? I say. Is this really good stuff? I want that cylinder so bad I'm just plowing ahead without any sort of plan. Is this worth risking my life over? Yes, unequivocally. But is it worth risking the lives of everyone on Earth over? Because if I mess up and die out there, the whole Project Mary will have been in vain. Yes, it's still worth it. I don't know what these aliens are like or what they want, or what they're planning to say, but they will have information, any information, even stuff I'd rather not know is better than none. I spin the handle and open the door. Wait, I spin the handle and open the door. The empty blackness of space lies beyond. The light of Tau City glistens off the door. I peek my head out and see Tau City with my own eyes. At this distance, it's a little less bright than the sun is seen from Earth. I double check my tether to make darn sure that I'm attached, and I step out into space. I'm good at this. I must have practiced a lot in some neutral buoyancy tank or something, but it comes as second nature to me. I exit the airlock and clamp one of the tethers to a rail in the outside hull. Always have 2 tethers, and always have at least one attached. That way you're never at risk of floating away from the ship. The Orlan MKS2 is possibly the best EVA suit ever made, but it doesn't have a safety unit like NASA's EMU suit. At least with a safer unit, you have minimal thrust. Wait, by the way, the safer is like in capitals, so I'm sure it's like a abbreviation or something, whatever. You don't have minimal dust ability return to the ship if you fall adrift. All that information floods into my mind at once. I guess I put a lot of time and thought into spacesuits. Maybe our crew's EVA specialist? I don't know. I flipped the sun visor and peered towards blip A. I wish I could glean some special insight by seeing into it in person, but it's pretty far away. The Hail Mary's telescope gave me much better view. Still, there's something unique about staring directly at an alien spacecraft. I catch a glint of the cylinder. Every now and then, the flat end of the gently tumbling cylinder reflects tall light. I've decided tall light is a word, by the way. Light from Torcidi. It's not sunlight. Torcidi isn't the sun, so tall light. I still have a good 20 minutes before the cylinder reaches the ship. I watch it for a while and guess where it'll hit. It'd be nice to have a crewmate inside. It would have been nice to have a crewmate inside the radar station. It would be nice to have a crewmate at all. After 5 minutes, I have a good bead on the cylinder. It's headed for roughly the center of the ship. It's as good as a place of any for the aliens to aim. I make my way across the hull. The Hail Mary is pretty big. My little pressurized area is only half its length, and the back half flies out to be 3 times as wide. Most of that will be empty now, I guess. It used to be full of astrophage for my one-way trip here. The hull is crisscrossed with rails and latch points for EVA tethering. Tether by tether, rail by rail, I make my way towards the center of the ship. I have to step over a thick ring. It circles the crew compartment area of the ship. It's a good 2 feet thick. I don't know what it is, but it must be pretty heavy. Mass is everything when it comes to spaceship design, so it must be important. I'll speculate about that later. I continue along one hull latch point at a time until I'm roughly in the center of the hull. The cylinder creeps closer. I adjust my position a tad to keep up with it. After an excruciatingly long wait, it's almost within reach. I wait. I need to get ready. If I pour it too early, I might knock it off course and into space. I'd have no way of recovering it. I don't want to look dumb in front of the aliens, because they're probably watching me right now, probably counting my limbs, noting my size, figuring out what part they should eat first, whatever. I let the cylinder get closer and closer. It's moving at less than 1 mile per hour, not exactly a bullet pass. Now that it's so close I can estimate its size, it's not big at all. About the size and shape of a coffee can. It's a dull grey colour with splotches of slightly darker grey randomly here and there. Similar to Blip A's Hulk, kind of. Hull, kind of. Different colour but same blotchiness. Maybe it's a stylistic thing? Random splotches are in this season or something. The cylinder floats into my arms and I grab it with both hands. It's less mass than I expected. It's probably hollow. It's a container. There's something inside that wants me to see. I hold the cylinder in under one arm and use the other to deal with the tethers. I hurry back to the airlock. It's a stupid thing to do. There's no reason to hurry, and it literally endangers my life. One slip up and I'll be off in space, but I can't wait. I get back into the ship and cycle the airlock and float into the control room with my prize in hand. I open the all-in suit, already thinking about tests on the cylinder. I have a whole lab to work with. The smell hits me immediately. I gasp and cough. The cylinder is bad. Not bad. It smells bad. I can barely breathe. What chemical? Wait, the chemical smell is familiar. What is it? Cat pee. Ammonia. It's ammonia. Okay. I wheeze. Okay. Think. My gut instinct is to close the suit again. That would just trap me in a small volume with ammonia that's already in here. But I let the cylinder air out in a larger volume of the ship. Ammonia isn't toxic, at least not in small quantities, and the fact that I can still breathe at all tells me it's a small quantity. If it weren't, my lungs would have caustic burns and I'd be unconscious or dead by now. As it is, there's a bad smell. I can handle a bad smell. I climb out the back of the suit while the cylinder floats in the middle of the console room. Now that it's not a shock anymore, I can handle the ammonia. It's no worse than using a bunch of Windex in a small room. Unpleasant, but not dangerous. I grab the cylinder. It's hot as heck. I yelp and pull my hands away. I blow on them for a moment and check the burns. It wasn't too bad. Not stovetop hot, but hot. Grabbing it with my bare hands was stupid, flawed logic. I assume that since I've been holding it earlier, it was okay to do. But earlier, I had a very thick spacesuit gloves protecting my hands. You, you've been a bad alien cylinder. I say you need time out. I pull my arms into my sleeve and wrap it around the cuff. I use my now protected knuckles to nudge the cylinder into the airlock. Once it's in, I close the door. I let it be for now. It'll cool down to ambient temperature eventually, and while it does, I don't want it floating randomly around my ship. I don't think there's anything in the airlock that can get hurt by some heat. But how hot is it? Well, I had both my hands on it, like an idiot, for a fraction of a second. My own reaction time was enough to keep me from getting burnt, so it's probably less than 100 degrees Celsius. I opened and closed my hands a few times. They don't hurt anymore, but the memory of pain lingers. Where'd the heat come from? I mumbled. The cylinder is out in space for a good 40 minutes. Over that time, it should have radiated heat via blackbody radiation. It should be cold, not hot. I'm about 1 AU from Tau Ceti, and Tau Ceti has half the luminosity of the sun, so I don't think the Tau light could have heated the cylinder up much. Definitely no more than blackbody radiation would cool it down. So either it has a heater inside it or was extremely hot when it started its trip. I guess I'll find out soon enough. It's not very heavy, so it's probably thin. There's no internal heat source, it'll cool off very fast in the air here. The room still smells like ammonia. Yuck. I float down to the lab. I don't know where to begin. So many things I want to do. Maybe I should start by just identifying the material the cylinder is made of. Something harmless to Blip A's crew might be incredibly toxic to me. Neither of us would know it. Maybe I should check for radiation. I drift down the lab table and put out a hand to steady myself. Oh, you know, I could really go for it now. I could really go for a gin and tonic. With you, my baby girl. With the big fishbowl one. Okay, so I'll get back to the story. I'm getting better at the zero G thing. I think I remember seeing an astronaut documentary that says some people handle it fine, but others really struggle. Looks like I'm one of those lucky guys. I'm using lucky loosely here. I'm on a suicide mission. So, yeah, the lab is a mystery. It has been a while. It's clearly set up with the idea that there'll be gravity. It has tables, chairs, test tubes, trays, etc. There's nothing. There's none of the useful stuff you would expect to see in a weightless environment. No Velcro on the walls, no computer screens at angles, no efficient use of space. Everything assumes there will be floor. The ship accelerates just fine for a good long time too. It had me at 1.5 G for probably a few years, but they can't expect me to just leave the engines on and fly in circles to keep gravity in the lab, right? I look around at each piece of lab equipment and then try to relax my mind. There has to be a reason for this. It's in my memory somewhere. The trick is to think about what I want to know, but not stress about it too much. It's like falling asleep. You can't really do it if you concentrate too hard. The only top of the line pieces of equipment. I let my mind wander as I scan across them all. Okay, that's the end of the chapter. So we're up to chapter 8 now. I'm gonna message you back. I love you.